Hello and welcome back to the all new, all different number one comics podcast bonus episode. Today we are covering Universal Monsters Dracula issue number 1, out by Image Skybound. Okay, Image / Skybound. Sorry, wanted to make sure I got my facts straight there. I didn't have I have the book next to me, but it's open, so I didn't see the cover. Anyways, aside from all that, that's Nick. Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's a lovely
Awesome.
Saturday. Doing it a
Yeah.
little bit later this weekend, but it's all good. It's nice and chilly around here
Oh,
finally,
nice.
and I'm
Hell yeah.
loving it. I get to wear long sleeves now.
Oh, cool.
It's not so hot over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still in Florida attire, so just like, a light undershirt, but,
You're all
sadly.
sweating.
Yeah, turn the air on. But, yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad that it's cooled down over there. I can't wait. I hear there's, like, a big cold front coming through at some point, although I heard this, like, 2 weeks ago also, and it never happened, so we'll have to see, but
It's also
hopefully.
scary where you're from because you could never know when a hurricane's gonna come through.
Yeah, exactly. You're just hanging, and then your roof blows off, but,
Yeah.
whatever. It's all good. Uh, but yeah, we're like I said, we're covering James Tynion the fourth. I never know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I know when I had Steve Fox on the show and we happened to mention him, he was like, this is how you exactly say it, because they're like good friends. And I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna say it like that every time, and I still can't. But yeah, either way, I'll go with James Tynion, James Tynion the fourth, and Martin Simmonds on art. Really, really cool book. Really great creative team, of course. Are you a fan of Department of Truth? I'm sure you're familiar with Department of Truth at least.
Yep. I have 4. Yeah, I think they're at 4 trade paperbacks. I've read all
Oh,
4 of
cool.
them.
Hell yeah.
I pick them up whenever they come out. I'm a huge fan of the conspiracy theory thing,
Yeah.
a huge fan of Martin Simmonds' work, and whenever, Tynion, however you say his last name, whenever he
Yeah.
comes out with something, I check it out right away. So and this team in particular is very exciting, especially when they're doing something like Dracula.
Yeah, it's so funny because obviously we'll get into our discussion of the book and everything, but you think about Department of Truth and how like that book wouldn't work with any other creative team. Like it is so synonymous with James Tynion writing it and then Martin Simmonds on art. Like it has to be that. There's nothing else it could be. And then you crack open this book and read it for what it is. And it's like I feel the same way. There's not. I mean, obviously, tons and tons of other people have told Dracula story. There's actually been kind of like this, not like panel for panel same adaptation, but there has been a comic book Universal Monsters Dracula book that came out in like 93 from Dark Horse. They actually tried
Mhm.
to do like a whole like little universe. They did the Mummy, they did Dracula, they did I can't remember what, Frankenstein maybe, but yeah, I open this and I'm just like it has to be them. There's nobody else could do this way and tell
Mhm.
this story. So really, really cool that they teamed up again to work on this. And I thought that it was honestly kind of odd because did you read like that little back page, like the letter that James Tynion wrote like in the at the end there?
Yeah, I read it. I actually read it the second time I read it because the first
Mhm.
time I went through, I read it and then I put it away and then I went back and I was like, usually I don't read things like that.
Yeah,
I usually just stick to the thing, but I was like, I kind of need to like look this up for when we talk about it. And
yeah, sure.
yeah, I read it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because even before reading it, just being dialed in, like with comics and comic book creators and all of that, James Tynion, like the first, not the first, but one of the main things I think of is like he's really into his creator owned stuff, the stuff that he comes up with on his own, like his own characters, his own universes. He stepped away from Batman because of that, and all of that. And then like here he is going to something that's more well known than Batman, something that you know everybody pretty much in the general population knows who Dracula is. So to take like that kind of story and tell it, something that's not his, just I thought was really weird. But then reading through it, and of course I'll try to save most of this for when we talk about the book actually, but it just really, really works. It's very interesting that he chose this and that those two teamed up to do this. Really, really cool stuff. I think that it worked out really well. A lot of people really love Department of Truth. Of course, like you were saying, like a really cool conspiracy theory stuff, and it just twists that on top of its head too. But just such a cool creative team for this book. I just can't imagine anybody else doing it. So I'm really happy that they're the ones doing it. I also think that it's weird that Image slash Skybound is the one publishing this. Like it seems like I don't know. I mentioned Dark Horse because they did the series in '93. Like I see more of that type of thing than Image. It's kind of weird. Image is like getting in back into this like licensed stuff, or what I call licensed stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know what you refer to it as, but like with going like back to like GI Joe and Transformers and stuff. Now
Mhm.
the Universal monsters, really weird. Is there like anything like you're hoping to see that like they might come up with or anything like, or are there any other chapters of like this Universal monsters thing that you're just like really stoked to see?
Man, I really would wish they would have done a different creative team for each of the Universal monsters. I really would have liked to see a Frankenstein version of this. I really would have liked to see a Mummy version of this. I don't think that's come out, right? Nothing like that's
Well,
come out.
not yet, but that's what they're planning on doing.
Oh, they are gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they should have done it because it's Halloween. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're gonna come out
exactly.
with it around like Christmas time, and I don't know if people are gonna be so willing to pick up a book on Frankenstein around Christmas time. Now is the perfect time to put out like a different creative team for each set of monsters, if you will. If it's anything like if they can get any team like this team,
Yeah.
then it's definitely gonna be worth picking up. Um, this team just one thing I was like really hoping with this book was when I
Mhm.
saw Universal Monsters Dracula was that it was gonna be a a create a creator owned Dracula type book, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I started reading it. I was like, wait a second, this is just Dracula. This is just a retelling of
Yep.
the Dracula story, and I was like, oh, okay. I kind of got a little disheartened by that. I was kind of upset because I want to know how James Tynion would write his own Dracula book.
Mhm.
Um, but once I got over it, once I read it once, then I read it twice, I was like, okay, I can get over that because everything about it is exactly how you would imagine a nice retelling of the story, with um, some good focus on other things other than Dracula.
Yeah, definitely. Like this one opens up with a lot of focus in other places. And one of the things that I read about, or it might have been a post that James Tinian posted to Instagram itself, I can't remember, but they were really talking about how, yes, this is the Universal Monsters, or sorry, rather the Universal adaptation of God, I can't talk today. Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel and all of
Mhm.
that adaptation and their telling of it and everything. But James Tinian was like basically trying to say this is kind of what happens like in between the scenes, like the stuff that you see, the stuff that you read or whatever. This is kind of what happened like in between all of that.
Mhm.
So that's like a really cool perspective to take. I mean, you're going to take something that like we all know the story very, very well, and it's not like you're going to like tell that story sorry, like revamp that story or anything. Like it's the story that it is. It's the story we all know, but kind of like go in between things and tell different stuff about it. So I thought that was like a pretty cool take. If James was going to do anything with it, it'd have to be something like that, other than just like a strict adaptation of what was filmed or what's in that novel.
Right. But we do have all the all the same characters, all the
Hmm.
same characterizations of those characters.
Yep.
It's just done in a way that only Martin Simmonds can do, which is completely psychotic, and
Yeah.
it's just so like it just makes me feel like I'm going crazy the whole
Hmm.
time a little bit.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely. When we get into, I mean, just shit, opening the book to the very first page, and you've got all this flies and bugs, and Renfield just, kind of snacking on them or whatever he's doing, and he's trying to obtain that power from them, and kind of telling like why he has to go really small, get power, life force or whatever from these small things, And then later panels, he's kind of smiling. He's got that grin, and there's bugs crawling around on his gums and teeth. It's just, yeah, disgusting.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Done really, really well. I love the. I don't know if this is all watercolor. I don't know if it's mixed media here. I'm assuming it's like some kind of mixed media. I don't think it's just pure watercolor or anything, but there's too much texture to it. But
Mhm.
whatever's going on, like with all the bugs all over this, is really good. Really, really fits well. And like you said, it's like very. It makes you feel uneasy. It's very psychotic. It's really crazy.
I really wanna I haven't looked it up. I kind of sometimes I don't like to spoil the behind the scenes. Sometimes I don't like to, know how things are done. But
Hmm.
man, when I see Martin Simmonds art, I'm like, "Wow, that looks like charcoal, watercolor, it looks like
Yeah,
regular paint, it looks like spray paint sometimes, it
yeah,
looks like pencil, just pencil sometimes, sometimes just pen." And I'm like, "I don't know how he's doing this." I kinda don't wanna lift the veil a little bit, I kinda just
sure.
wanna be blind to how he's doing it because
Yeah,
it
yeah. Just
leaves
appreciate it for how it is.
it
Yeah.
leaves some appreciation towards the art form, but man, if I could just watch him do a panel or a couple panels, I'd be really I'd be really, like, stoked to see that.
Yeah, it's God, it's done so well, and yeah, like you said, I mean, it has to be like a good mixture of media there. He's kind of he's just got to be everywhere. You look at some of the scenes, like that third panel of the book, the very first page, third panel there, and you've got Renfield kind of like he's got the desk kind of eye level, and he's
Yeah.
peeking over to grab one of the flies, and his whole face is just lit up in this way that I mean, I can't even imagine how that's done. I can't
Yeah.
fathom how he lit that face up in that way to where it just looks like there's this huge like blinding out like light source coming from it onto his face or something. It's just crazy.
That's what I was
Uh,
saying, it looked like almost like a spray paint or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
it
It
must
looked
be. Yeah,
like a super highlighted spray paint, and I'm just like, "Wow," because everything has such dark tones. It's
hmm,
all blues and yellows and really dark tones, and then you this Renfield's face is just super white. It's almost like,
yeah,
whatever, like, black metal bands use to spray paint their
yeah,
or paint
yeah,
their face with. He looks like he's in a black metal band for sure.
definitely looks like one of those like I don't know Icelandic metal bands or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
really really cool. Uh, yeah, and this is I don't know. This is done in such a way where you can almost the dialogue's good in this book. I really like the dialogue a lot. There's not too much of it. It's not like a huge exposition dumper or anything, but you could easily just go through this book and ignore all of the dialogue and still get the story. You get to points in the book where there's not a lot of dialogue. There's a good amount of like chaotic splash pages and just crazy shit going on. And there's not really much dialogue in those parts. There's if I remember correctly, there's like a dog or a wolf at some point a little bit later, but or that could be the preview of issue number 2 that I was looking at. I don't remember, but yeah, there's just some crazy art in here that just really tells the story really really well. And again, you don't even have to have that dialogue. It's almost like once you get halfway into the book, I almost wondered on my second go around, I'm like, did they like forget to put some dialogue in here or something? Because it's like it's pretty heavy towards the front and then like very very sparse after that. So it's just non-traditional in that sense.
Yeah, non-traditional, and, there's just certain scenes where I love how just the detail of the art with the dialogue, like, when
Hmm.
there's a scene where Mina and Lucy are talking,
Yep.
and they're on a couch or something, and behind them is the action going on with whatever they were talking about. They're talking
Hmm.
about, how Renfield, attacked the ship and all the
Oh
people on
yeah,
the
yeah,
ship
yeah.
died, and then you see in the background, like, behind them, like, the ship, the people on the ship, and then their bodies all laying everywhere. I really like that aspect of, like, there's just fine details of Martin Simmonds, like, really showing off that he can have so many things going on at once, and your eyes are focused on the girls. They're not
Hmm.
focused on the background, but the background is so bloody and visceral, and you're just like, "Wow." It's in the background, though. It's not like anything that we need to be looking at. You didn't have to look at that at all, actually.
Hmm.
It's just a painting on the wall.
Yep.
It's really
Yeah,
cool.
and yeah, I'm looking at that panel now too, and the one but one of the ones that happens a little bit before it, yeah, where where you're first introduced to them, they're sitting on the couch talking and all of that, and then you get that kind of shadow or silhouette of the whoever's kind of like driving that boat or whatever in the wheel, and he's kind of leaned back and everything. Just amazing stuff. It's almost got like I would say this, and this is not a dig on Tula Lote at all. She's freaking amazing, outstanding, amazing artist. But what she does, kind of abstract and with her mixed media and everything, lots of watercolors and all of that is done really, really well. And it's beautiful artwork, but it's more one dimensional than what Martin Simmonds does. And again, not to pit the two against one another. She's an amazing artist in her own right, but just for some perspective, like, you see hers and this is going to sound like a contradiction because it's more abstract, but it's more straightforward and a little more focused, as opposed to what Martin's doing, which is just kind of like total anarchy. It's like the most punk rock, like, panels I've ever seen in my life, because this is happening. Like there's no structure to it whatsoever. But at first glance, it's just like, oh yeah, that's some nice artwork or whatever. But once you dig into the details, it's really dense and packed with a lot of different stuff going on. Just really, really cool. Again, like I can't see anybody else capturing the same vibe that he's able to do with this art.
I think the genius behind it is the fact that you don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like listening to a pop song, but grooving to it and it being in a time signature that is not a normal 4/4 time signature. When you can
I think you just nailed that because
when you can do that
yes.
and you can make people clap along,
Mm-hmm.
when you could do that, that means that you are
Yep.
doing it well and you know what you're doing. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's
Yeah.
doing such weird abstract things with art that you don't question it. You're like, I'm just reading this book. I have no, but then when you dig deeper into it, you're like, is that spray paint?
Yeah.
What? Why is that? I can't tell what kind of medium he's using for any of this, really. It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, I love how you just put that because I think you nailed it. Of course, both of us being like musical and all that, we play instruments, whatever. But yeah, you listen to a song and with the exception of like listening to some like crazy metal or like mathy rock or something, like yeah, it's usually like that 4/4. It's usually that really basic time signature or whatever. But whenever somebody can sneak it in and it's
Mhm.
not like apparent, and you're just kind of grooving, you're like, yeah, this is good. Then you break it down, you're like, wait a second, that's what's going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely what this is. Absolutely. Great comparison. I love how you pointed out. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's like Pink Floyd with Money, you know? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
exactly.
what a weird time signature, but you're like, "Man, this is groovy," and I
Yep.
can't stop dancing to it, and that
Yeah.
just proves the genius of whoever can make a pop song, in a different way than you would normally, I would
Yeah,
say. Just
exactly.
not kick, snare, or whatever, you know?
Yep. Yeah, very, very cool. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how to break this down.
We're
Again,
all over the place right now. We're not even going, with a normal timeline or structure or anything. We haven't even
it's
gotten
kind
to
of
half of it.
impossible to. Yeah, it's pretty hard, I would say. But yeah, the basic story that we're getting here, of course, being we have Renfield, who is seeing like I don't know what you call him back in this day or time or whatever, if it's still a psychiatrist or psychologist or
Mhm.
whoever this is, a doctor who's looking after him because he's obviously they're treating him as like insane or something. So so he's being seen by this doctor and he's acting in crazy, eating flies, talking about taking their power and all of this, and then we get to Lucy. And what was Lucy's friend's name? I'm sorry, I don't remember that.
Mina.
Mina. Okay.
Are you
So
familiar with, Dracula?
yes, absolutely. Yeah, I just
Okay.
couldn't remember the name. Yeah,
Okay, for
but
sure.
yeah, yeah, I know, I sound like I'm not, but I
No, no,
swear.
no. It's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, I mean, again, a pretty basic story. It's just it's kind of it weaves in and out. We go a lot into Renfield later talking to his doctor there, and then they get to the point where they're talking about saying that his blood is diseased, and
Mhm.
they're basically gonna, I don't know, transfuse his blood,
Yep.
take out his poisoned blood. And of course, as he's talking about that, and he kind of calls out for Dracula, that we get this ending panel of sorry, I don't mean to jump to the end. We're obviously still going to talk about this, but I do want to talk about that last panel. We get that upside down panel of Dracula in his coffin, and then we get the eyes with the blood streaming down. Just, God, that's so amazing. Such a good panel there. But
Yep. And it's the fact that the blood is going. So on the last panel, for anybody listening, on the last panel where he's upside down, the blood is going up, but that's because he's upside down and the blood's dripping down. So
yeah,
it's a cool way to show that he's upside down and also he has awoken and he's gonna feast on the city. Even though earlier, which kind of confused me, even though earlier in the book, right, he had already feasted on a woman prior, but maybe he had flown away, went to sleep, and then now his Renfield's in trouble, so he needs to go and save his. I don't even know what you call these people. I forgot. I forgot what you call them. It's like a specific word. Someone who is a slave of Dracula.
A familiar? No.
A familiar. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Thank
okay,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, like What We Do in the Shadows. They got that familiar. What's his name? If you've ever seen that show, I love that show.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it like back when it came out. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Again, like we're all over the place, but this, I mean, again, like I think the best way to explain it is this is a narrative story, but it's like, looking at it's just total anarchy. There's just madness going on the whole way through it.
Mhm.
It's insane. It's really cool, and I hate to, throw my opinion out before we like wrap up or anything like that. So I'm don't take this as a cue. I'm not trying to say let's stop talking about the book or anything, but like, for anybody interested in Dracula, interested in horror, whatever, this is out at the right time. We're coming up right now on Halloween. This is our Halloween episode, yeah, because the next episode that comes up will be on November 1st. So congratulations to everyone listening. This is all new, all different number one comics Halloween episode, but
I
which
wish
super fitting for Dracula. But
I should have dressed up like Frankenstein. I'm sorry, or Frankenstein's monster. I forgot.
maybe I could like in post or something. I can like edit. I'll put costumes on us. I'll make you like. I'll be Ronald McDonald. You'll be the Grimace or something.
Okay,
But,
that sounds good.
yeah, a hamburglar.
Should make me a chicken nugget.
Exactly. But yeah, it's fantastic the way this is done, and again, like whether you're a fan of Dracula or not, fan of horror stuff or not or whatever, this is just told in such a cool way. And above all else, I hate to take anything away from James Tynion because I think that he's done an amazing job here telling the story, and like he kind of said, popping in and out of the details of what's happening in between pages or whatever. But this is always going to be Martin Simmonds thing. Like this is as elevated as it is because he's the one on art here. Yeah, I mean, the Dracula stuff exists out in the world. Like I feel like there's only so much you can tell unless you're tell a completely different story, or like you said, take the concept and then make it your own or whatever. But that's not what this is. But with the art, that's absolutely what this is. This is insane, really, really good art. But I mean, yeah, them together is phenomenal. But yeah, I'm at a stalemate. I don't really know like how to talk about it.
I can talk about some stuff.
Yeah, please, yeah.
You want me to take over?
Absolutely, come on.
I got you. There is a scene after Lucy and Mina are talking, and she's looking out the window, and she says, "Someone's looking at me." There's a man standing out in the alleyway or in the yard or whatever, and she says, "It looks like a man, and he's looking this way." And then the next page is a big splash page. You know, I love my splash pages.
Yeah.
Dracula's eyes. Dracula hovering over this girl. The girl is asleep, and it's Mina. I'm assuming, most likely. And all that's telling me is that he has her in his spell.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's saying. Dracula has seen her. Dracula wants her. He's going to get her. That's what I'm taking it as. And she is now taken over by Dracula's spell. That's what I'm taking from that. Next thing we see on that same page that you just showed was a wolf howling at the moon, and Renfield saying, "Master, I can hear you." And I love that they took all the shape-shifting forms of Dracula. He's a wolf. He transforms into Dracula. he attacks the lady that he sees out in the street all by herself. This
Mhm.
great, like, big bloody, like, howling wolf with blood, and then his fangs coming out, and it's all swirling, and it's like madness, and she falls down. He turns into a bat, which this bat is a very Martin Simmonds bat
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so angular and
Uh-huh.
like bony and very like just I don't know things that you would see in your nightmares. And then he flies
Definitely.
away, and that is Dracula in a nutshell. He shows up, shapeshifts, kills someone, turns into a bat, flies away, and then he's done. And I was like, "Yep, that's perfect." He seduced someone. He seduced Mina. He went
Mhm.
and got some blood from a girl. He left. He left his mark, and then he went home, had a, probably watched some TV, and then fell asleep in his coffin.
What do you imagine that Dracula watches on TV?
He probably watches. I don't know. I think he likes probably like soap operas or something. I think
Oh, yeah?
he loves drama. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He's the most
Yeah,
dramatic
that definitely
person of
makes
all
sense.
time. He's so dramatic, and I can only like the way that I have of Dracula. He's like, his big gothic house,
Mhm.
his castle, and then like his landscape all perfect, and
Yep.
he has to have the perfect cups for everything, the perfect plates. He has to serve everyone out of a certain like out of a certain glass.
Mhm.
Um, I just imagine he's a very dramatic person, so he either likes that or he likes like Saturday morning cartoons. It's one or the other.
He just likes, like, really goofy shit where you could just sit there and laugh,
Yeah,
have a
it's
good
one or the
time.
other. The only
Yeah, I
other
could
thing I
see that.
wanted to say about this, besides that one part where it was like, oh yeah, this is like the meat of it because Dracula shows up.
Yeah.
Dracula takes a back seat to this. I know it's like a huge splash page, and it's directly in the middle of the book too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, that was
he
probably
takes a
close.
back seat to this to Renfield, which I thought was cool because
Mhm.
Renfield is our portal from the human normal world to the supernatural vampire world. So
Mhm.
he's a great vessel for telling the story because he's on both sides, and he is a psychopath. Like he's just crazy.
Yeah,
He
that's an
doesn't
understatement here.
he only cares about his master, pretty
Mhm.
much. He only cares about becoming like his master. He's a complete slave to the idea of becoming like a vampire. And he doesn't really care about his name's John Seward, the psychiatrist.
Yep.
That's Mina's dad. I'm almost positive because Mina turns into Mina Harker, which is John Harker's. Is it John Harker? Yeah, Jonathan Harker. They're together.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
yeah, so John Stewart's the psychiatrist. He's doing his thing with Renfield, and we get the whole story from Renfield pretty much.
Mhm.
He's making his ways through the story, and he's kind of in the forefront of it, which I loved.
Yeah,
Uh,
one of the
yeah.
things that I really like about Renfield in this, especially, from the art side of it, is that, like, a lot of times, like I talked about before, his face gets, like, really washed out and, like, glowing and everything like that, but, like, it's almost like Simmons takes him as he's lost a lot of his humanity. His features aren't really there. You just have these dead
Mm,
eyes for most of it. I mean, of course, sometimes I hate to keep putting the book up, but sometimes you get like a good telling of what's going on in his face. Sorry over
mhm.
there, but
Yeah.
of the details in his face and everything. But a lot of times you get like this kind of thing, and it's just I feel like that's a good representation of him like losing his humanity or like losing a lot of his face, like those features and everything. They don't really apply because you look at the other characters in the same panels and stuff, and they're very heavy. They have like a lot of lines. They've got like a very pronounced nose and everything, and a lot of times he doesn't. So yeah, I think that's really cool.
I love that. Yeah. And if you could show it when he really loses his humanity, do you want to show
Yeah,
that part where he says, "I don't want to be cured"?
yeah,
That is complete loss of human emotion, just like turning into the crazy psychopathic almost vampire that he is. I
hmm
don't think he's exactly a vampire, right? Because I think Redfield just gets a little bit of vampire powers. He's not
yep,
exactly a vampire. So he's a little stronger. He's a
hmm
little bit more I don't know, agile and has like a little bit more endurance, but he
yeah.
can't exactly shapeshift or do any of the cool things that Dracula does.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were playing Mortal Kombat and you chose Renfield, it'd be like the shittiest character to choose. But like
Yeah.
he's got like a little tiny bit, like his speed is like, 2 bars or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's like Liu Kang, but he's not like Sub-Zero. Like he can't do all the
exactly.
cool stuff. He can't do all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Now have you seen the Renfield movie that came out recently?
You know what? Yesterday, when I was at home by myself for a little bit, and
Yeah.
I had like 30 minutes to watch something, so I put
Yeah.
that on.
Oh,
I
okay.
watched the first 30 minutes of it. I thought it was cool. I didn't
Mhm.
really like the campiness of it.
Okay.
I thought it was a little too campy, and I just kind of like, I was looking for something a little bit more like horror, which
Mhm.
I knew going into it was going to be campy. I just wanted to check it out. But yeah, I watched the first 30 minutes of it. Why do you ask, Dan?
Oh, I was just wondering. I haven't seen
Oh,
it, so yeah,
oh yeah.
I don't have anything to compare to.
But
We're
yeah,
just
same
talking
thing.
Renfield, so I was just
He's
wondering.
like he's stronger than everybody
Mhm.
else. He has like he's more agile. He's not like Dracula. Like Dracula can do all the other cool stuff where he can like
Okay.
run on walls and turn into a bat or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
from the
So
little bit I saw of Nicolas Cage's Dracula, it was pretty good. He did a pretty
oh
good
yeah,
job.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nicholas Cage always fun and great in whatever he does. So
he always delivers, whether it be ridiculous or not.
yeah, hell yeah, I'll take him any day. Really awesome. Yeah, but yeah, again, almost at a loss of words for this book. There's not. It's such a weird book that there's not much I feel like I can say about it. It's a book you have to pick up and crack open because of the art in this book. Like there's no way for me or you to sit here and describe how insane this art is. You have to pick it up and check it out, like 100%. And you should be. It's James Tynion, it's Martin Simmonds, it's Image Comics, it's Halloween time. It has every single thing going for it that could possibly be going for it. So yeah, hell yeah, pick this up, of course. But uh, I'll ask like I always do. Do you plan on checking out issue number 2?
Yep,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Likewise, this will be at the just like the Cole is, and just like Rare Flavors is now, and Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. There's a few books, but yeah, the second they come out, I'm like, I don't care what's happening. Stop. I gotta read this and see what's gonna happen here. Really, really cool. So this, makes it to that short list of books that I definitely have to check out the next issue of. Um, Now I know that. So did you pick this up physically or just digitally?
No, I just did it digitally. Yeah.
Just digital. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So I I try not to because there's a few covers for this one. I grabbed this is the B cover, so I really like this
Ooh,
cover a lot. So
it's
I had to
lovely.
pick that one up.
Who did that?
I don't even remember who did this cover. It could be Joshua Middleton, but I'm not 100% sure. I I'm gonna go with Joshua Middleton. I mean, it kind of I don't know. It's got some
I wanna
aspects of
it is Joshua
yeah. Okay.
Middleton, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotta
Um.
shout him out.
Yeah. I also picked up though. I don't know if you've seen that. They released like a last minute. Sorry, it was announced last minute that there was like going to be a one per store variant.
Oh, no, I didn't see
Yes.
that.
So they shipped out one per stores, and luckily my shop loves me and I love them. So I was able to claim that. But yeah, this is the one per store. Um,
Oh, wow. Who
yeah,
did
yeah.
that?
Hell if I know.
Sorry, Dan.
No, you're fine. You're
Just
fine.
ruining your
I haven't looked into it yet. I mean, I haven't cracked this one open at all. But yeah, let's see. Let's see if it says. It's not going to say on the back cover, of course. No, why would it? I don't know. I'll have to
I got
research who
you.
did that one.
I
Oh, okay,
got you.
cool.
Gabriel Rodriguez.
Okay, very unfamiliar with Gabriel Rodriguez, but
Yeah,
yeah,
me too.
just some cool covers. I was looking at the preview for issue number 2 as well, and there's some great covers on that one. There's one, and I don't have the cover artist in front of me, but everybody was like, kind of doing the more abstract thing or the more horror themed thing. And then this one cover like looks so comic booky and cartoony for issue number 2, and I love it. I'm like, shit, that's the one I want for issue number 2. So yeah, I'll have to check that out and get back with you on who did that cover and send it to you so you can see it. But
Nice.
yeah, it's some really good teams on this. Really really good stuff. I highly recommend this to everybody. Again, it's Halloween time. Perfect time to pick this up and read it. There's Dracula stuff out there in the zeitgeist, all of that, whatever. So absolutely pick it up. And I guess on that note, I mean, that's again, I feel weird. I'm kind of at a loss for words with it. But if you have anything else you want to say about it, or anything else you want to say,
Go pick it up. A lot of good splash pages. James Tynion the fourth does
yeah,
a great job of a retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So if you've read the book and you like it, or the if you've seen the movie,
mhm.
go ahead and read this. You get a little bit of insight into what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess last thing here. Speaking of movies, it's Halloween again. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this thing up at the very latest tomorrow, so it'll be out by Sunday at the latest, if not today. But give everybody your Halloween recommendation. What movies should everybody check out this Halloween? To revisit or watch for the first time or whatever. If you have anything.
Oh, you're gonna
Yeah,
do me
that's a
like
hard one.
that.
I know. I know.
My
Rough
favorite, one of
one.
my top 5 movies, not even horror movies of all time, is The Shining. I
Okay.
love The Shining. That is my go-to if I want a good 2.5-hour movie of just maddening, someone going through abandonment and not knowing how to deal with, being in a room by themselves and freaking
Hmm.
out and killing their family. Go
Yep.
watch The Shining. I'll give you a show recommendation that's been really good,
Oh yeah,
and
please.
that is, The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. A really, really, really good show. If you haven't seen
Is
it,
that the Edgar Allan
go
Poe
watch it.
theme thing?
I don't know if it's Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
It is very dense. It
Hmm.
has a lot going on in it.
Hmm.
There's twists and turns around every corner. There's a supernatural aspect to it. There's just so many things going on in that show that, like, I just want you to go. If you're listening, go watch it. Dan,
Okay.
go watch it. Go watch the first episode
Absolutely.
at least. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But the first episode hooks you, and it's really good. Watched it last night.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be checking out The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yep,
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
perfect for
exciting.
Halloween time.
Hell yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah. I'll do my usual. I mean, I love all things horror. Can't lie. I don't love whenever we get into like the torture porn. I'm not like a huge fan of that, but I love like traditional horror a lot. Really
Mhm.
big fan of it. But I'm gonna go. I always recommend Halloween. Always, 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 always love Halloween. Original Halloween, of course. But I'm gonna go The Birds this time. I love The Birds. It's
Ooh,
it's it's old. It's creepy as hell. It's cool. It's a fun movie. So if you guys have not watched The Birds, I won't say a word about it. Just go watch The Birds. It's very, very good. Very cool
I
movie.
love that movie. It's a great
Yeah,
movie.
me too. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Nick. Appreciate it. Oh, and in closing, like a good podcast host that I am, right? Make sure that you guys use the hashtag all new, all different nation on a social media post of your choice. You can win a copy of this book. But Nick told me there's no way in hell I can give away my one per store, that I have to hang on to it myself. So if you guys, I don't know, if you want to see that, if you want to get a copy of that, I'm gonna need to see some crazy shit out there, not just hashtags, all kind of crazy shit. I want to see, like, I don't know, do like a cool like remix video of like me and Nick, like um in our McDonald's costumes or whatever, like, and
Make me a
post that to
chicken nugget.
YouTube. But yeah, that's the only way that's going anywhere. But yeah, if you want a copy of the regular cover here, use the hashtag all new, all different nation to be entered in the weekly giveaway to win a copy. And have an amazing, happy Halloween. Everybody stay safe, have fun. Nick, I hope you have an amazing Halloween, and I will catch up with you after Halloween in November.
Wow. See you next time. Thanks for having me.